video.
Hello? Can you hear me loud and clear? Hello?
Giorgio, turn off your video and put yourself on mute. I'll introduce you in about 5 minutes.
Okay, I will have to share screen. I'm trying to learn how to use this. My video is off.
Okay. Just put yourself on mute. We'll work that through when I introduce you.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I want to welcome you to this session of Humanity Rising. I apologize for the conversation that we were having backstage, as it were, as we're getting things organized for today. I want to welcome all of you to this session. And I want to take a moment as we begin our program to comment, as I have been doing over the last several months, on some of the unfolding events taking place in Gaza, as the Israeli army, backed up by the full weight and power of the United States government, the Biden White House, and the U.S. military, assists in essentially the mass slaughter of Palestinians. And at the same time, the world is increasingly demanding that the carnage stop. Last week, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for the Prime Minister of Israel and his defense minister, along with the 3 people in the leadership of Hamas. What this means is that the nations of the world are now mandated to arrest Netanyahu and the defense minister if they leave Israel and come to the United States, for example, where the United States is a signatory of the International Criminal Court of Justice, and so is Israel. So that is putting the United States in a very, very awkward position. And the extraordinary thing about at the end of the week, the International Court of Justice demanded that Israel stop its offensive operations in Rafah and open up humanitarian relief, it said, at scale, so that the mass starvation and famine could be ameliorated, which is only happening because the Israelis are not allowing food to reach the 2.3 million Palestinians squeezed in a small little strip by the Mediterranean Sea, 5 miles wide and 20 miles long. Instead of adhering to the court, the Israelis have doubled down and have been engaging in escalating slaughter. Over the last 24 hours, 45 more Palestinians were killed. Most of them were actually burned alive as the Israelis bombed an area that they had assured the Palestinians was a safe zone. And there was a number of displaced Palestinians huddled in tents. They were preparing for bed. Most of them were children and women. One woman was pregnant and she was burned alive. And the Israelis stated today that they have no intent of stopping the genocide. And they're backed up now by the full support of President Biden and the U.S. Congress and the U.S. military. So what we're seeing, everyone, on this day that the United States consecrates as Memorial Day, to honor the war dead, is a desecration of not only war, but humanitarian life. And as the Norwegian foreign minister said today, as he announced that Ireland and Spain and Norway tomorrow are going to recognize Palestine as an independent state and join most of the rest of the world and the global South, who have recognized the Palestinians, a resolution that has been passed by the General Assembly of the United Nations and is quite literally only opposed by Israel and the United States, Great Britain, and Germany. So even the G7 is beginning to crack. And the comment of the Norwegian foreign minister, I think, is something that we should all take in, that these actions by Israel, backed up by the United States, is undermining the very foundation of international law. When the International Criminal Court, when the International Court of Justice, when the UN General Assembly, and even the UN Security Council, as it did a month ago, ordered Israel to stop and to engage in a ceasefire, and Israel refuses, and the United States aids and abets Israel's refusal to stop what the entire world understands to be mass slaughter with the intent to commit genocide. There's something so wrong with what is happening, not only in terms of the intent of the two nations to engage in this activity, but their defiance of any kind of international adjudication. It means that both Israel and the United States have become essentially renegade nations outside the rule of law, which is the ultimate contradiction for countries who assert that they are, in fact, democracies and that they stand for human rights and they stand for equal justice under the law. The United States and Israel are making a mockery of these time-honored international principles, without which the world will descend into barbarism. Because if there's no way that we can engage in common law, common understandings, common ways of due process and adjudication of criminality, then where are we? What have we become? And that's why I continue to say that we have to look this evil right in the eye, and we cannot look away. We cannot turn our gaze, because there is something deeply challenging human civilization in what Israel and the United States are perpetrating in Gaza. It cannot be allowed to stand. And to make that statement is not to resolve the issue, but it means that as we contemplate these things, in whatever way we can, as I am doing, as I'm opening Humanity Rising sessions day after day after day, we have to take a stand, and we have to speak out, and we have to do whatever it is that we need to do to prevail upon the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel to stop engaging in crimes against humanity. because that's exactly what they're doing. So it's with some somberness that I open Humanity Rising today on the Memorial Day in the United States, and speak out as I am as an American citizen against what my country is doing in the Middle East at this moment. So thank you, everyone, for bearing witness. Thank you, everyone, for not turning your gaze. And thank you for your ongoing support for Humanity Rising as we seek to convene conversations that really matter with the intent to transform these conversations into actions that can actually make a difference, which is what Humanity Rising is all about. We want to now turn to the momentous issue that we've been tracking since the fall of last year, and that's humanity's contact with extraterrestrials. That one issue that, if we would all embrace, could transform human consciousness and lead us into a world beyond genocide and beyond conflict and beyond the destruction of our ecosystem. And that's one reason why I'm here in Washington, D.C., and one of the reasons why we continue to bring to the light whatever it is that is happening in this space. And today we want to hear from someone from the great nation of Peru. We all think of Peru in terms of Machu Picchu and the Incas and the great civilization that arose there, about 1,000 years ago and was vanquished by the Spanish conquistadors in the early part of the 16th century. Peru has been one of the great nations in Latin America with a very strong tradition. And today we want to welcome Giorgio Piacenza, who has been dedicated to extraterrestrial matters since an early age as an experiencer of the ETs, who's been really immersed himself in these studies. He's a member of the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research. He's a member of the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies. He's a member of Edgar Mitchell's Foundation for Extraterrestrial Research. He's taking a master's degree in extraterrestrial studies at Ubiquity University as part of our joint program with the New Paradigm Institute. I've gotten to know Giorgio over the last number of months and have invited him to just share his perspective, both on the extraterrestrials, but also on consciousness, and his assertion that as we embrace this moment, we should not be afraid. We should be willing to open our hearts, because his experience of the extraterrestrials is that while some of them have malevolent motivations, most of them are benign, and they're here to assist humanity in its next phase of growth and development. So Giorgio, thank you for coming in from Lima today, and I welcome you to open up your video and take yourself off mute. Giorgio, as you may have heard in our opening, has got a PowerPoint. We'll sort that out. So Giorgio, please open your video and welcome.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, very kind words from you. I'm trying to, oh, here we go. Start my video. Trying to learn this system. Here we are. Thank you very much for your kind invitation. Yes, it's true. Since an early age, when I was 13, family members and friends started communicating with, apparently with extraterrestrial beings. And I was not totally certain about it. But when my uncle Tadeo invited me with my cousin and other friends to a pre-arranged appointment, to verify this contact, and I was able to see at about 300 feet away these craft, this lenticular craft with 10 other witnesses around me, I knew that it was real. And I thought that maybe the intelligences behind this phenomenon were older than us, and that they should know why we were as stubbornly conflictive as we are. That maybe we should start to establish a beneficent, cooperative, friendly relationship with them. And this is what I have been gradually trying to understand, better understand, and even try to establish myself. So I joined different groups. Since then, I was a member of CSETI with Stephen Greer, and in the 1990s, had some experiences. Well, what I would like to do, first of all, is share my screen to read a statement, because since English is a second language for me, it would be much easier for me to read the statement that I prepared and then to show a PowerPoint presentation with some of the evidence of the things that I'm talking about. So I guess I'll have to go into this share screen. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, share screen.
And then that looks good. Okay, are you able to see what is on the screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, I will try to read not all of it because it's a little bit long and I don't want to take all the time reading before sharing the PowerPoint, but here I go. Okay, there's a need to recognize that there are also positive extraterrestrial beings engaging humanity. So I propose that enhancing gradual, voluntary, peaceful contacts with them who have demonstrated a respectful approach to our higher spiritual values and potentials, and also respecting as much as possible our conscious free will, is highly convenient for us, and that this is aligned with America's and the world's original highest purposes. These types of contacts awaken a deeper sense of responsibility within us, getting us in touch with our inner essence, the earth, reality, to participate more voluntarily as equals in a vast cosmic civilization. Okay. What I want to say is that these are not fantasies. These are not New Age fantasies, and that only the somber and the technological and the abductions are real things. These are really verifiable events that can be long-term events with beings that on the long run can help us build a trustworthy relationship with them. They have not deceived us in our experience, in our contact experiences. So we need to get an open contact, a comprehensive understanding of the truth of what's going on with a whole range of UFO-related beings in order to see ourselves different as a species. It should inspire us to move beyond superficial, worn-out belief systems that constantly we are rekindling in a selfish, individualist, materialist manner, going back to ethnic tribalisms and all of these things destroying life and civil international cooperation. So these contact experiences can help us to believe in goodness once again and to believe in ourselves once again. Why? Because for us to make contact with these more compassionate and advanced beings, there's also a need to connect with that goodness in order to vibrate or resonate in a way that is compatible with them. So that's why this contact can help us change and, let's say, find new sources of inspiration within. Let's move on. Here I want to present that despite the popular references to one form of threat or another in the UFO community, And despite the existence of various types of unsettling varieties of abductions, they do exist, cattle mutilations, airspace safety concerns, that apparently in which the UFOs seem to be approaching airplanes in a much bolder manner than before, or that despite some deleterious contact effects reported, there also are valuable, verifiable, voluntary contact experiences. And this gives us hope. And this is what we need. We need to start believing in ourselves much more again. I think that we can build this trust-based relationship with several galactic species that are cooperating on Earth in different underground installations. The contact experience that happened back in 1975 with family and friends was in the town of Chilca, in front of the Pacific Ocean, where many other people have seen this UFO craft, and an underground base has been detected for many years. Fishermen see the craft constantly. It's something well known in Peru. Let's move on. So there's much more than truly negative types of abductions, unsettling contacts, and so on. While those exist, they seem to be more related to an attachment, a psychological attachment to somber and negative issues. There is more than an ontological threat and the possibility of unwittingly participating in perhaps necessary benign and non-benign hybridization programs, perhaps ultimately caused by our stubborn attachment to remain unconscious. What I'm trying to say here is that according to our surveys and research and interviews, not all abductions should be seen under a negative light. Some of them, yes, but not all. Apparently, due to our continuous stubborn ways of being in conflict and close-minded and all of this, some of these programs have become necessary and are allowed by a community of beings that are not necessarily negative. Okay, so the beings abducting sometimes are benign, sometimes not benign. But most of the time, because of our lack of development, it seems to be a necessary situation, these hybridization programs. Because we may need to be replaced with other types of, let's call them soul embodiments that are more balanced if we do not change ourselves. So it's like a plan B situation that is also helping other beings that need, that have had physical problems. So it's a very complex issue. Well, starting in the 1970s in Peru, and other places that are perhaps more culturally open to these possibilities, several individuals, among them personal friends, after much dedication and preparation, have physically met with advanced extraterrestrial beings like Antarel, Godard, and Ivica, and Roel II from Apu in Alpha Centauri. Roel was the being contacting my uncle Tadeo and others. Titinak, Sampiak, Anitak, and Amani from Venus. Now, when we say Venus, we are talking here about a different dimensional or density or parallel Venus, also climatized, adapted through technology. Okay, it's not the Venus that we see with astronomy. It's an adapted alternative Venus, but it is physically real as well. And Oxalk, a man, a 6 foot tall, oriental looking man that lives in Ganymede, originally from Orion. Okay. Over 50 years of contacts in what has been called Mission Rama and associated contact experiences, several we realized that we were dealing, in fact, not with fearful superior beings, but with friends, just further along the evolutionary path. And they repeatedly said that they could learn from us as much as we could learn from them, that there was no one so encumbered that could not learn from the most humble. So this could give you the kind of idea that they were trying to, and feelings that they try to share with us. They may be more technologically developed, but they are more relatable and not willing to impose themselves. Every time there was somebody afraid when there was a craft approaching, they would back away. Okay. But they also said that they are part of a larger group. And I believe that some of these in the larger group are performing some of the abductions that are not the malevolent ones, because there are different programs. But these particular types of beings found in Mission Rama and other contact experiences want us first to get in touch with our inner power in order to develop further contact with them. So they're very much in favor of us being stronger and not weaker. So some of these contact experiences took place through sendras, or space-time portals, of which there are several kinds. I was able to participate in one or two of them. Some other contactees go through out-of-body experiences. And less frequently, but not less importantly, there have been several physical contactees. But like I said before, these physical contacts require preparation. It's not just like a regular CE5 situation in which well-intended people go out and concentrate and call them down. For them to approach and their energy levels to, let's say, resonate harmoniously with ours and not cause harm, we also need to prepare. There's a preparation through certain physical meditation exercises. There are preparations through exercises teach our minds to lose fear, diet, try to have an empty stomach, and so on and so forth. But they have proven that the approach is real, that the craft can be filmed, and sometimes when they allow it, and that physical contacts have happened. While there have been some human errors in the contact groups, because there's always a human tendency to over-mythologize some of these beings and to follow the leaders. Leaders also make mistakes. They have egos. But besides of that, we are not simply speaking about an airy-fairy, imaginary, wishful relationship, okay? Like I said, there have been times in which video has been recorded, reporters have been invited, and scientists should also be interested in this in order to verify it for the collective, for humanity. If these beings are allowed to be filmed and videoed again, which I think that they would. Okay. I think that to escape from the deceptive grip of negative extraterrestrials, also apparently influencing society and power-hungry leaders, we should first strengthen our relationship with our essential spiritual being, and then with experientially proven benevolent ETs whose presence can also help us see ourselves as a whole species under a more positive light. What I'm trying to say is that they see us, at least the ones contacting through Mission Rama and similar contact experiences, they see us in a positive light, perhaps more than we see ourselves in a positive light. This is very interesting because if there is a group of more advanced beings in a larger whole that can see us like this, we can also begin seeing ourselves that are part of participants in this group in a better way. They say that we are a product of an important spiritual and physical experiment in which we were given greater potentials than them, greater creative manifesting potentials than them, that many advanced extraterrestrial species contributed their genetic makeup to create our physical bodies, and that the way our physical bodies connect with our soul and subtle bodies give us a greater potential than them. They need technology to manifest interdimensional travel. We may not need it, but we do not know it. Now, this is something that scares some beings that do not agree with this plan, and they want to stop us from realizing our potentials. They do not trust us. They believe we will always be hostile. But this other group of beings that my uncle and the Mission Rama people and many other persons like Paul Villa back in the 50s contacted, they believe in us. They believe in us, and they believe that we can be much better. So we need to find that connection with them in order to also believe in ourselves. There have also been other contact experiences besides those of Mission Rama. Case in point is the extensive amicizia contact experiences from Italy that lasted decades and involved friendly physical exchanges, photographs, radio communications, and with VIPs from Italian society. Likewise, the contact experiences of Mr. Castillo Enrique Rincon from Costa Rica, with a variety of human-looking Pleiadians, and those of Edward Billy Meyer from Switzerland also, can be considered consciously voluntary. Apparently, benevolent beings like these ones that are very much supportive of humanity usually prefer our conscious agreement to contact them at a certain level. But sometimes it's not very easy, and the first contacts seem to be like a surprise, okay? And then usually the abductee or contactee or experiencer begins to communicate, loses the fear, and begins to contact them voluntarily. Okay, there are many more of these consciously voluntary persons. For example, there's an extraordinary case that you should check out. It's Jose Maria Gomez Montiel. You can find him in Facebook. And those contactees like Maria Jose Puche and Angel Lara from Spain that are contacting the same beings that Chris Bledsoe is contacting, apparently, okay. But they are in contact also communicating with Chris Bledsoe. This is something important to know. We should also recognize the unique voluntary contact method developed by Jimmy Blanchette from Canada, by which extraterrestrial beings respond to radio signals and produce patterns in the sky with their spacecraft that then Blanchette deciphers as universal mathematical codes. There are some scientists beginning to take seriously these decodings. So in a way, these beings are interacting voluntarily as much as Blanchette is, and they're giving something useful in a scientific sense. Of course, the experiences of Ricardo Gonzalez Corpancho from Peru that can be seen in Gaia TV, and those of Luis Fernando Mostajo from Bolivia are very particularly interesting because they combine extraterrestrial contact experiences, verification experiences, with contacts with spiritual masters that are particularly enlightening. Furthermore, in YouTube, we have many podcasts like listed here. El Nuevo Tiempo is a particularly good one in Spanish, if you can understand Spanish, in which many voluntary contactees and also abductees have been, are constantly interviewed and give their testimonies. Okay, Preston Dennett is another good source of information for this reality. Jeff Selver is also a very important contactee that is giving much information along with Susan Hansen. You should check out these guys. Okay, to get a sense of what I'm telling you beyond the Peruvian experience as well. Now let's move to the free experiencer survey that also sort of gives more support of the things that I'm telling you, and that, for example, that most individuals with repeated contact experiences do not describe them as negative, even if they involve different types of abductions that often turn into voluntary contacts after a while. So this also gives us hope that the situation is not so dire and that we are not in such a danger. Okay, let's go to the PowerPoint presentation. Hopefully it's here on the screen for all of you to see. Okay, from 2012 to 2018, basically.
Giorgio, we still see the Word document. I think you have to stop sharing and then reshare. I can stop sharing for you.
Okay, let me to do.
And now you have to select the PowerPoint.
Okay, yeah. Oh, here it is. Okay, George, are you seeing it now?
Yes, you can go full. Can you go presentation mode?
Okay.
Okay. So we can see them bigger. It's the lower right. There is a little symbol next to the minus symbol. The very lower right. That is the little symbol that shows you to present it.
A little lower right. I don't know.
See the minus, like when you at the very bottom?
No, I see all the instructions, mute, stop video, everything is up there.
Just go to the slideshow then. Or F5 is also an idea, yeah. Function 5 you can also just press.
Okay.
I think there we go.
Okay, wonderful.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, so well, the free experiencer research study was a very large scale study for ufology. Basically, it was the first scientifically devised, statistically devised 5-year academic research that involved people from more than 100 countries and multiple languages, and it was anonymous. So nobody forced people or expected people or selected people according to a certain bias. It's what they said they experienced. And okay, how do I move to the next here? Okay. The requirements to take this experiencer research was to have seen a UFO, have had a contact experience with a non-human intelligence, and to remember the contacts without hypnosis. So conscious recall was crucial. Okay, if conscious recall biased the responses towards a positive light, I don't know. That's still something that has to be considered. I'm trying to be objective here, but most of the responses appear to be positive regarding their contact experiences. All of these contact experiences seem to be related with one factor, consciousness coordinating them all. Most of them seem to be also related to interdimensional experiences. They were not just physical, but all kinds of events began happening to these people. Not just electronic malfunctions of devices at home, but astral experiences, near-death experiences in many of them. Many of them had experienced near-death experiences, and also in a larger proportion, and they also were contactees. And okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Okay. The survey was divided into 3 parts. The first 2 were quantitative, and we had over 600 questions. I participated as a sociologist, also writing these questions among other scholars. Anyhow, the survey 3 was 70 open-ended written responses, of which we got thousands of pages. The languages used were English, Spanish, French, German, and even a little bit of Slovak. Most of the responses were in English and Spanish. How we found our population was daily work, finding people in Facebook, email sites, monthly places where people were interested in UFOs, radio interviews, and so on and so forth. And the people began to respond. We got, as you can see, for phase 1 in particular, over 4,000 responses. So we could make statistical inferences from that. Okay, the main important findings were overwhelming positive experience. Okay, there were negative experiences in about 8 to 10% of the cases, but positive transformation of the experiencer was a major finding, very similar to what happened with the research, the near-death research experience of near-death experience research of Kenneth Ring, Dr. Kenneth Ring. Experiencers became more ecological, more spiritual, less materialist, more compassionate. This was something good. So once again, how can we say that these experiences are deleterious and negative if we have these positive results with people that experience them? Okay, and like I mentioned, primarily they were paranormal and non-physical experiences, although also physical experiences took place. There were many ways of communicating with these otherworldly beings in relation with UFO contacts, the UFO presence. We turn many of these responses into pie charts, as you can see here. If we ask these general questions, how would you describe your experiences? We got 66% of the responses were positive, about 5% neutral, negative, and 29% neutral. This 5% fluctuated between 10%, 5%. It depended on the moment, but it was low, always low. Did you believe that ET, non-human intelligences, are bad, malevolent, or evil? Here, 9% said yes, 91% said no. So what does this mean? That these people were coming to understand that even though their experiences usually started with abductions, because they were not prime contactees like Ricardo Gonzalez that was invited, asked, prepared, they turned out to understand the contact experience in a positive light. Again, putting on my hat of a researcher, does this mean that they were under a Stockholm syndrome type of thing? It doesn't seem to be so, because they were not, most of the people were not, they didn't seem to be traumatized. A minority was, but most didn't. If you could stop your contact experiences, would you? 84% said no. So there's another breakdown here about the effects of the experiences in their lives. And most of them, if said that they were either positive or slightly positive. 17% was neutral, 6% slightly negative, 4% highly negative. Okay. This is the chart that shows how the desire to help others increase, the compassion for others increased, the appreciation for ordinary things in life increased, and concern with spiritual matters increased. Similar responses here. Some people, many people actually felt that their understanding about what life was all about increased. 54 plus 28%, that's a high number. In a few, of course, these things decreased. These issues decreased, probably among those that had negative experiences. The concern with material things decreased for the most part. In many others, of course, it didn't change. The interest in organized religion decreased. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Oh, but here, yeah. Are you a case of, do you call yourself a conscious contactee or an abductee? Most call themselves, here, making some space here. Contactees, and they didn't like to be called abductees. Some of the evidence I'm trying to show. Oops, I don't know why the PowerPoint jumped so much. Oh, I don't know how to go back. George, are you there? Can I go back?
Yeah, well, you're trying to move.
It's just
moving
increasing.
alone, or what's the problem?
I want to return. I want to go
Yeah,
back.
well, they're the arrow keys. You can go forward or backward with the arrow keys.
Ooh, there's no arrow key,
So,
neither on
on
top
your
or...
keyboard, left and right on your keyboard. The actual physical keyboard on your laptop or
No,
computer.
because oh, I see. They're almost invisible. Ah, okay. Thank you. Okay, I'm almost done with this survey part. I just lowered this. Okay, most people did not like to be called abductees, especially after they had several experiences. Let's continue now. And only an 8% of them thought that their abduction was of the most negative kind. But unfortunately, what I think is happening is that society tends to increase these types of cases. They become more popularly commented in the news, in what is reported, because we have a evolutionary tendency to focus on dangerous stuff and conflict. But again, according to these benign extraterrestrial beings, we can overcome that. And that's good news. Okay. Of those that were originally abducted or considered themselves to have been originally abducted, 71% now call themselves contactee and not abductees. Because when they see on TV that abductions are usually related to abusive, forceful ways of taking people against their will, and that's all that is basically stressed in negative circumstances, they say, no, this is not what is happening to me. That's not true. I'm not an abductee. I'm a contactee. Okay. Now, there are many individuals that have had unique contact experiences, voluntary contact experiences. And this is, for example, my friend Jose Maria Fernandez, a Cuban that lives in Puerto Rico, who in 1995 was given certain key symbols and numbers through which he could communicate with a particular group of extraterrestrial beings in outside of Puerto Rico. They have an underwater base. Okay. Why was this method used? Because through these symbols and numbers, his subconscious mind could synchronize with the time frame of these beings. these beings apparently are physical, but they do not exactly live either in our time frame or in our exact physical conditions. And that's why it's so difficult to contact them at will. There has to be an adaptation method. Here we are seeing on the left, near the town of Ponce, near the airport, a craft from, as he was told, Orion. This is a defensive craft from what they said is a confederation of beings that want human evolution. So I think that these beings were associated also with the mission Raman beings, but they played a different role. This was a defensive craft, according to him. Okay, with a big, powerful field around them. So much so that when this event took place, the airport in Ponce, the city of Ponce, was closed for a few hours. On the right, we see Jose Maria being taken up into the air towards a craft, as some of his friends took a picture of him. I interviewed some of them when I was in Puerto Rico a few times. His skin is yellowish because of the beam that is pulling him up is yellow. Okay, fantastic. Perhaps not much seen before. These are other pictures that were taken during his physical contact events by other friends like Mr. Jorge Poza and others. Of this Orion defensive craft, and also called Supra craft. Here you can see the yellowish beam, and he is hunching because he felt vertigo. So he bent over when he was very close to the craft. This type of events require a lot of courage, believe me, a lot of courage. This picture, also taken by Jose Maria, I had it analyzed by Donald Selwyn, who was a NASA consultant, image consultant for NASA, and it was originally in a Polaroid picture. All of these are Polaroid pictures, and he found no trickery on this picture. Okay, let's move forward. Remember, these are voluntary beings that he went voluntarily in contact with. And well, let me finish the story about Jose Maria. He became a contactee after he was healed from a shark bite. He was a fisherman. He was diving near Ponce, and he was bitten by a shark. And these beings came out of the ocean and healed him. He used to live across from the ocean and on the beach, and they healed his leg, and that's how his contacts started. I also detected several implants in his body, magnetic implants that would deviate a compass needle 1 meter away. And these were necessary for his body to adapt to the energies and for him to be in communication with these beings. It was a very particular type of contact experience. Not unlike really as those from Apolinar Villa or Paul Villa, who was contacted since he was a 5-year-old child. The contacts have to be adaptive. This is what I'm trying to say. In the case of Jose Maria, the contact was adaptive through the symbols and numbers and through the implants. But in the case of Paul Villa, it was a gradual approach to the energies of the craft that were seen much before. For example, before he started taking pictures in 1963, he already began a series of contacts after a series of sightings in 1953. Sorry. The book, The Secret Life of Paul Villa, by my friend, Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens, describes his story pretty well. We have this level of evidence, photographic and video evidence, film evidence, all the way back from the 1950s, of these friendly voluntary contacts, like the ones I was describing also before. Okay, let's move forward. These are more photos from Paul Villa. Now, there's a tendency to deny offhand any evidence without clear research, and this is very sad. It happens outside of the UFO community and inside of the UFO community, unfortunately. For example, when they see these smaller craft landing and taking off on the pictures, they say, oh, it must surely be fake. And they just say fake. And that influences lots of undecisive people. And this is a sin. This is a sin because it delays what humanity should know by now. It's been so many years that these things are happening. And I think that these beings are postponing open contact because of these attitudes. Here on the bottom picture, we see several little spheres surrounding the larger craft. This is very common, both in the Mission Rama contact experiences as back then, and also today happening in Mexico with the case of Juanito Juan. He's a simple man, a mechanic from Tamaulipas, I believe, who has these spheres approach his home, even enter his home. He has filmed them and even touched them. These seem to be synchronizers of the environment before the or during a contact experience. Here we see the Italian friendship case, which is very important, that involved many, many years of friendly contacts in which several Italian persons were taken inside a base in the Adriatic Sea, underwater base, 20 miles under the crust of the earth. They exchanged gifts, and even some of the extraterrestrial beings that looked human, these beings looked human, stayed in Italy, walked in Italy physically with the Italian population. They range from 1 meter tall to over 8 feet tall. And the pictures, of course, were analyzed. Roberto Pinotti is very well read, and he knew many of the original contactees in this important case. When this case ended, because of disagreements in the human group, in our species group, these beings could not continue contacting these people. Because of the disagreements, there would have been like a negative result, negative energy result. The harmony was lost in the human group and the contacts were ended. That's part of the story, but the contacts also moved to other places. There were people from Switzerland, France, Germany, and Chile involved. Apparently, the contacts moved to Chile, to southern Chile. This is the book where you can get much information by Stefano Breccia. Stefano Breccia, you can get the book Mass Contacts that describes all of these wonderful contacts. It was an opportunity to accelerate open contact with humanity, but after a couple of decades or so, it was lost because of human disagreement. We need to learn to do better than that. The main contactee was Bruno Samaciccia, okay, a catalyst for all these kinds of contact, radio, visual, physical contact experiences. The voices of the extraterrestrial leader in this underwater base was recorded. Paola Harris, one of the best UFO researchers in the United States and Italy, Paola Harris knows very much about this. She interviewed the last remaining survivors. And anyhow, the planet, they called this planet in the Pleiades constellation Akrig. And they were in favor of ethical development, opposing another group of contrarians that wanted to control humanity by giving humanity excessive dependency on technology. I don't know if there's time, but there was a video that I wanted to show, but maybe it will be too much because I have a lot of the material still. This is a, let me see, how can I lower this up? Aha. This is my friend Jose Maria Gomez Montiel, who's a contactee from Barcelona, Spain, with 8-dimensional physical beings that look gray-like but have an olive-colored skin. He's a voluntary contactee, as were his parents, and he considers himself to be like related to them. He calls himself allegado, which is like a related person with a vibrational affinity. According to Jose Maria, these beings are trying to repair the Earth's nucleus that is becoming unstable in order to help protect humanity and give humanity a greater chance for evolution. So there would be different beings that that have these different programs, different missions. This is Jose Maria on a first closer to the camera. It's on the camera is on a tripod, and there is one of the Clarion's spacecraft. He feels a loving sensation and an inspiration and a sense of harmony, and then he knows that they are coming, or they tell him telepathically where to go. This contact took place near the mountain of Montserrat, a hot place for UFOs in Barcelona, Spain. This is an extraordinary picture of one of the craft. Here you can see the beings behind a transparent window of sorts, greenish still, gray looking, and according to him, very respectful and not negative. These are more pictures from Jose Maria, in which we can also see the spheres, the same spheres that Juanito Juan from Mexico is interacting with, most likely the same spheres that have been seen in Mission Rama in Peru and other countries, and even in Mount Shasta, I saw one. They accompany many of these craft. The quality of his images are as good or better than those of Billy Meyer. And yet, because there are no English-speaking researchers researching his case, they're totally unknown in the English. He's totally unknown in the English-speaking world. But here I present to you Jose Maria Gomez Montiel. These are more pictures from Jose Maria. Let's move on. Can you imagine this technology combining movements? Apparently, what they're doing is synchronizing the area, the energy areas surrounding the craft, and also preparing contact experiences in these areas. There are more pictures here of Jose Maria. Here you can see Barcelona and the craft. After so many years of being with contactees and having a few mild experiences myself, I've basically become very much accustomed to the normality of this in a way. I'm not afraid. And I just see them as other family members in the cosmos that have been here for a long time. This is my other friend, Ricardo Gonzalez, with whom I've seen the craft, extraterrestrial craft, quite a few times, about 4 times, 5 times perhaps. One of them was in Atacama, San Pedro de Atacama, in the desert of Atacama in Chile in 2019, in which beings like this, the one on the left is an 8-foot-tall, huge man from Alpha Centauri, from Apu. And the one on the right is, her name is Ibika, beautiful, very spiritual lady, also from Apu. They have contacted not just Ricardo, but other friends as well that I have interviewed that I know. So I don't think that they are lying. and they have shown their presence, which I will try to show a little bit of a contact experience that took place in Atacama, if we are able to connect now with the video.
You have to basically share again. If you want to share a video, Giorgio, you have to stop sharing your screen, and then you have to share the browser and then select share video and optimize the video. Otherwise,
Yeah,
we're not going to see
okay,
it.
thank you, Joe or Georg. Let me, so this commercial's over, I skip, and let's go to the minute where this.
So I stopped sharing, and now you need to reshare your screen. Are you there, Giorgio? Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
If you want to share a video, you have to share your screen again and then select the browser. And optimize video and sound.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Those are two buttons when you share your video.
Oh, really?
You have to, in the Zoom settings, yeah. There it's in the window where you, so stop again. So when you click on the green button, there are two options. It says share sound, optimize video, two checkboxes.
Okie dokie. Okay, hope it works. Can you hear me still?
Yes.
Okay, let's try it.
Nocturno, exactamente sobre nuestra ubicación.
Okay, so we were camping in the Atacama Desert, and we had received, especially Ricardo, of course, he had received an invitation by the extraterrestrial beings, Ivica and Tarel, that there will be a verifiable presence, and there were about 80 or 100 campers in this place. And at the exact time, 9:01, a craft became visible, stationed firmly over our heads, and began to pulsate. It pulsated about 105 times. So this is just a little bit of that I'm trying to show. It pulsated very strongly. It was not satellite nor air.
We can hardly see. I think your connection is not good enough to share video. I think we have to do this another time. We can hardly see any movement on the video.
Other craft began to move also close to these pulsating craft, like this one here. This.
Giorgio, it doesn't seem to be working. And I think Giorgio's just frozen.
Okay, Georg, are you listening to me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think your connection is unstable. We should not share video. It's not working.
Okay, let's do that some other day, perhaps. Okay, let's continue then with the last part of the presentation, which should be here. Oh, okay. Good Lord.
And please also send me the presentation link so people can watch it later on their own.
Yeah,
you know?
that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, can you see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Ah, wonderful. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. So that was my my friend Ricardo's experience, which is very much connected with these beings. There's a good depiction of Antarel. He doesn't allow himself to take a picture of him, but there was a person that took a picture of part of his body while he was materializing. I could not find it. I have it somewhere in my computer, but I could show it some other time. The individual in the center is what we call a Stekna Manes, a master of the White Brotherhood, survivor of a previous civilization, advanced civilization on Earth, and he's a hybrid between an extraterrestrial race and humanity. We call him Al-Sir, and several contactees with this particular group of peoples from Alpha Centauri have also seen him and talked to him. He has a very strange hat, like that of, I don't know, Egyptian pharaoh or some ancient, or maybe a Vatican bishop or something. The vibration described, the feeling described when contacting a master like him is that of complete harmony and peace. The feeling described when contacting somebody like Antarel is a more mental and human feeling. But both of them are very good individuals, not deceiving at all. And it's a complete story, complete history of what happened and with these contacts and everything. But let's continue. This is my friend Luis Fernando Mostajo from Bolivia, who has a contact center and meditation center by the shores of Lake Titicaca. It has these stones and these places to stay. And near this portion of the lake, we have had some contact experiences. As you can see, the people here are happy. They're not scared. They're not worried. Usually all of these contact experiences when the craft approach are a moment of joy and not a moment of fear. Back in 2015, I saw a craft about 500 feet away with a huge group of people and Luis Fernando. And after 5 days camping out in this area, okay, which is high in the highlands, it's very high, and it takes a lot of willpower, daily meditations, and so on and so forth. But the contact experiences are benevolent. Here, I wanted to show some videos recorded of some of the craft in Bolivia, but again, I think the connection is not too good. So let's continue, and we will show these somehow on another occasion. This is Sixto Paz, who started the contact experiences in Peru in 1974 with Mission Rama, almost at the same time that my uncle Tadeo was starting. And on the lower right, we can see a picture of interdimensional or space-time portal taken in the Dominican Republic in order to meet beings like him. Okay, he looks more like a gray, but he's a very tall gray, 7 foot tall. He's not a gray. He's from Mardorks, from Silox, and part of the same group of beings that Sixto and Luis Fernando and Ricardo are contacting. The person in the center here depicted is Oxalc. He looks very oriental, 6 foot tall, and like a person. And in this physical experience that Sixto had, he was accompanied by beings that looked like grays. But interestingly, these beings, which I'm not sure if they were actual beings with souls or androids, I don't know. They were carrying this golden plated book with many symbols, which he was allowed to see some of them. So this is in Peru. This is south of Lima. This is how we have been normally gathering for many years in the desert, meditating, sharing experiences, and trying to make telepathic contact. And sometimes these things do happen. So that's basically the presentation, which I shortened a lot. I hope to be able to share some of the videos, location. And once again, I'm recapitulating here. All of these contact experiences were voluntary, healthy, and friendly. And they did match what the experiencers were telling us from the free experiencer survey, which basically coincided with the MUFON experiencer survey, a much smaller survey, but still it was coinciding in many, many ways, especially in the positive changes these people experience in their lives. Okay. So thank you very much. And I will try to stop the screen sharing if I can do it.
Or we did it for you, Giorgio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we just did it.
And we can speak, we can talk to each other now.
Thank you, Giorgio. Thank you very much. This has been a real inspiration, you know, because we hear so much information about UFOs that's fear-laden and militarized and politicized in one way or another. So to hear what you have to say based on the data of, you know, many, many people from many different areas around the world that have had, you know, these great contactee experiences, and it changes their life and they feel transformed in a positive direction, I think is so important for all of us to take in because it helps empower us for the kind of work that now needs to be done. Yes, so I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you also for the opportunity. This has to be known. It can be done in the US. Paola Harris, a researcher from the US, participated in one of these contact events in Mount Shasta a few years ago. And she's a friend of mine too. And she called me, Giorgio, should I go? I am not good with camping. I am afraid this is going to be too cold. I said, Paola, take it easy. These people will protect you. They're nice Latin American families that even bring their children along to the contact experience, and they will hold you. And that's what happened. When the being appeared with two other little beings a few feet away, I mean like 20 feet away, they hold her and she could see this guy.
Really?
Yeah, she saw him, and he communicated with her briefly. Thank you, Paola. And she will never forget that. There was nothing else. Now, why was she sensitive enough to go to this meeting? Perhaps because she was a woman? Because she had a feminine receptivity towards a benevolent, positive, nourishing types of things. We need to learn from that.
Yeah. Well, that raises a very interesting question. And I don't know whether there's research about what are the personality profiles of those that have a contact experience sort of generally, and particularly a positive one as opposed to a negative one. Is there a particular kind? I've heard from a number of sources that people who are more sensitive and more naturally clairvoyant or empathetic tend to be more frequently involved in these kinds of contactee experiences. Is that what your findings indicate? Well,
there are two factors, I think. One of them is their willingness to share with the world after the contact experience, especially and withstand criticism, laughter, derision, all those things. All of them, all of the guys that I showed in the last part did that. Many other experiencers and contactees, some of them even with a Mission Rama group and others in Puerto Rico. No, no, no. I want to keep it to myself. I have my family. I have my work. They did not come out. So one of the things necessary is courage and altruism. Then, yes, the telepathic and psychic abilities that may be more pronounced since childhood, they help. But they can also be developed according to these beings. For example, the ones in 75 that were contacting my uncle group of friends, they gave us a series of exercises, basically based on the Silva mind control method, going into alpha and then developing what they call the antenna and visualization capabilities, and use them to heal members of the group that were sick or people that asked for help. So healing modalities. So through all these exercises, contacts could increase. So we would, yeah, I mean, having psychic abilities helps, but it's not like 100% necessary to start that with.
Gotcha, gotcha. And now you've had your own ongoing contact experiences.
Yes, moderately. I'm more like the friend researcher that knows all these other guys, but understands them and would not run away if a craft comes close, something like that. Well, I used to meditate a lot when I was 11, 12. It all started really when I saw a lot of bullying in my school. I thought, what is going on with people? Why are people attacking each other without any need? Are we like this by nature? What is going on? And Guru Mahatma came from India with a divine light mission back then in the early 70s. And they told me what they lack is the knowledge. The knowledge is the contact with God within, and you can know it directly if you meditate with this knowledge and meditation. I was very impressionable back then. I was 11. So I escaped from my house. I biked all the way to the ashram. And after several times, I got initiated into the knowledge of the divine light mission from Guru Maharaji. And whether Guru was a real perfect master or not, I was impressionable enough. And I felt a deep, loving connection that was actually inside everybody else, everyone, and myself, and nature. And that's how it started. I could not take the final leap of complete fusion with this beyond the mind reality that we can call God, love, power, and wisdom and knowledge. It was almost like my ego would have to die. I could not do it. I was too young. So a few months later, my cousin Sandro calls me, and it's totally unrelated with this experience that I had. And he says, Giorgio, you can't believe it, but my father is communicating with extraterrestrials through writings, and you have to come see this. So I went to his house, and I saw this big craft paper with huge letters saying, my name is Royal II. I'm a commander of an underwater base south of Lima. And we would like to make contact with you, if you so wish. A few months later, they invited me, I mean, my uncle invited me to a pre-arranged contact, and that's when I saw the craft 300 feet away or so. Huge 40-foot craft, a lens-shaped, 10 witnesses. So I said to myself, okay, I could not serve creation by becoming completely one with God. There was a sensation of ego death that I could not tolerate. But I will do it through getting to know what is going on with this contact situation. And maybe they know why we are as violent as we are. And that's how it started.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. This has been so informative, and we really appreciate that. I'd like to be in touch with you and maybe have you back, or bring in some of the people that you've identified who may want to tell their story, because I think what you're bringing in, as I indicated, is so important for us, because we need to be open-minded about what we don't know. And we also need to be open-hearted about what we need to know, and courageous, so that as we develop our encounters with these beings, we both protect human sovereignty, but we also work with them so that humanity can move to the next phase of evolutionary development. I think that's what so far we haven't been able to do on our own. And
Yes, it's an emergency.
Yeah,
we need to
we're in an
move
emergency.
fast.
Yeah.
We need to move fast. They said that they're protective of us from rogue elements and unwarranted incursions. And even if the negatives overdo their permission to do some things, they're protective of us.
Yeah.
But unless we wake up in a unity consciousness and brotherly love, cooperation, find shared
Exactly.
common patterns with each other,
Exactly.
it's going to become more difficult for us.
Exactly.
Very difficult for us.
Yeah. Now, can you stay for the after chat? Can you stay on for another few
Jim.
minutes?
Yes.
Good. And did you receive the link in your Zoom invite for today? But Stan is putting it in the chat
I'll
box.
send you an email now, Georgia, with a link. Okay, will be in your post.
Okay, I go to my email and link.
Yeah, but this has been just extraordinary, Giorgio. I'm so glad that we've met, and that you're carrying such extraordinary knowledge and photographs and stories, and it's been inspiring and uplifting for us on this day. So I really want to appreciate you. Thank you.
That's goodness, and thank you, Jim, for this opportunity and for your open heart as well and balanced mind. Thank you.
All right, that's Giorgio Piacenza, everybody, and we'll be hearing more from Giorgio over the next couple of months. Thank you for joining us today. You'll see the link in the after chat. You received it in your Zoom invite, and we'll see you all again tomorrow for another narrative of extraterrestrial encounter. Thank you. Thank you, Giorgio. Bye for now.